In the world of pugilism, a good trainer can mean the difference between not only a knockout, but perhaps life and death. And Donnell Parsons, talking to you, you went from being a track star at Valley College to going into the science of pugilism. Tell us about your track years at Valley, first of all. How did that influence you into what you went over right now?
You know, honestly, the majority of the influence came mostly from dealing with Coach Powell, who's the head track coach there. The training is one thing, but it's the training of the mentality that I take most as in this sport now. I had some great training from Coach Powell. You know, I was a young, rough kid, and he really molded me into the man I am today. So I owe him a great deal. That's really where I took most of the training from. I mean, yeah, I did go to the state championship, but that all was just based on my mentality, just training hard and just working hard. And it's something I try to instill in my fighters nowadays. Work hard, train hard.
What drew you to the pugilism science? What drew you to boxing? Is that something you always had in you and one you wanted to do? And
I've always been a casual fan as a young man, as a child. The Mike Tyson days and whatnot. 31, so of course, I still remember Mike Tyson, Holyfield, and those fights. So, but really drew me to it though was more or less the fact that there is no team. It's just like track and field. There's no team around you as far as when you get in that ring. When you get in that ring, it's really up to you. Just like track and field. If you mess up, you lost. If it really breaks down like that, and that's what I liked about it. So, that's pretty much why I was attracted to it.
what do you when you get these young boxers that you're working with now as a trainer? What do you look for? What are the things that you look for? The characteristic, the traits that make a good boxer?
You know what? They have to be able to listen, and they have to be able to execute. I've taken young men who were not skilled. They were not athletes. In fact, I have one right now named Chris Bishop. He's not an athlete by any stretch of the means. He's got a lot of power, but he listens, and he executes what you tell him. And that's the main thing with any athlete. You can have the greatest athlete in the world, the greatest fighter in the world, but if he doesn't want to listen and he doesn't want to execute properly, he's not going to amount to much under your tutelage. So basically what I look for is just to make sure they have open ears and they use what's between those ears. So yeah, I mean, that's the major attributes. I really don't care about a guy's physical build. I don't care about how fast he is, how strong he is. Those things you can build as a trainer, but you can't build, that listening.
Now, let's say you're training one of your boxers for a big title fight, okay? Take us to the progression. I know we're talking about 2-3 hour answer here, but if you can capsulize into a minute or two, what's the progression of physical and mental training that you're going to put him through leading up to the actual fight?
Well, depending on when you get the call for a world title fight, a lot of guys don't get that 3 months. The major stars get those 12 weeks to get ready for a fight, but a lot of times you're a ranked number 5, ranked number 3, and the number 1 contender pulled out, and it's 2 weeks before the fight, and they need to fill that spot, so they call you. But if you get an actual standard 12 weeks, the first 4 weeks are dedicated mainly to the strength building, mainly to getting your athlete from, looking like garbage to looking like anywhere semblance of a boxer. A lot of boxers don't stay in shape throughout the season, and it's sad. But the first 4 weeks really breaks down to you just trying to train them to get them ready for the physical beatings that they'll take to the next 8 weeks of training. And then after that, the next 4 weeks obviously break down to just getting their cardio and their punch stamina back up. And then the 4 weeks after that, you're dealing a lot with sparring, the 3 weeks after, you're dealing a lot with sparring, a lot of mitt work and timing. And then the week of, you're just doing the final cuts, making sure they're on weight and whatnot.
How much is video training, looking at your opponent, sort of like what football does, analyzing your opponent, the weakness and tendencies and strengths? Do you guys utilize that in the pugilistic world?
You know what? A lot of times, yeah, you do a lot of video work. You do a lot of studying. You want to make sure that you know as much as you can about the opponent you're getting in there with. But in your first 10 fights, you may not even get any video footage of any guy you're going to see. You may have to go in there and just apply your craft the best you can. And You know, it is very important though, because you want to know how a guy moves. You're not going to learn a whole lot about a guy because every fight's different. He could have fought 3 months ago and went to a new trainer and learned a whole new style. So, and maybe using a whole new style, but you know, his basic movements and such, they're pretty much concrete. You know, how a guy likes to stand still and fight, or how a guy likes to move to his left or move to his right. Those things are pretty much set in stone. So that's what you look for in video.
What makes a good corner man, in your opinion?
Honestly, knowing your fighter. It really breaks down to just knowing your fighter. If you know when he's in trouble, you know when he's not in trouble. You know, at the end of the day, your number one job as a cornerman, your number one job is to make sure your fighter comes out as healthy as possible. If it looks like he's not going to win the fight, he's just taking a beating, you need to throw the towel. It hurts, but you got to save your fighter. And so I think that's the number one thing with a cornerman. Obviously, you know, being a great mitt man or a boxing coach or a trainer or a corner, those are all different aspects of the overall. And so, yeah, that's the big issue. I mean, you just want to make sure that a guy's healthy.
Now,
So, yeah.
one of your strengths, and I can speak personally from this, is your nutritional advice, preparation, and all that. If I may share this with the audience, thanks to Donnell here, I lost 70 pounds in like 5 months. And I'm forever eternally grateful to you and all that. How important is this in a professional boxer?
Oh, it's everything. Honestly, it really is everything. If you go in there with bad nutrition, you know, your body's a car. Your body is basically a machine, and what you put in with it, if you put junk fuel in, you're going to get junk results. So, you know, I mean, some guys out there, they got a furnace inside their belly. They can burn a lot of stuff, but unfortunately, you know, at the end of the day, when you're getting ready for a world title fight and you're going through your training, if you don't have the nutrition down, you know, you're gonna burn out through your workouts. You're not gonna get everything out of your workout. You're not gonna get everything out of the fight. So yeah, you know, nutrition is everything.
Concussions, okay, it's such a big story nowadays in the professional levels and all this contact sports. How has that influenced the boxing world?
You know what? It's actually really interesting because if you look at the new rules in amateur boxing, they're getting rid of headgear. After 5 fights at 19 years old to 40, you're going without headgear now. And so while other sports are looking to do more protection, better headgear, better face mask, boxing is taking a step to another direction. Like, hey, you know what? Let's see if if the headgear is preventing the concussions or actually attributing the concussions. A lot of guys, unfortunately, when they put headgear on, they think, well, I got headgear on, I can take more impact. No, your brain's shaking around inside your head. It doesn't change. So if your brain hits your skull, you get a concussion because it swells. It's kind of interesting in that regards. But, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, anytime a guy punches you and hits you clean, chances of you getting a concussion are pretty solid, you know?
What's the state of boxing right now, Donnell, in your opinion, compared to the golden years and all that? I mean, what is your take on that?
This year is probably the greatest year of boxing in this century. Obviously, that's after 2001. This has been a year a lot like the golden years. You've had a lot of champions fighting champions. You've had a lot of up-and-comers really getting a lot of shine with Prodvikov. Rio's getting a crack at Manny Pacquiao. So you've got a lot of good talent getting a lot of shine. So it's going really well. You've got boxers making more money than they have in the last 5 years, which is always good. It's always good to see boxers making more money because that usually means more promoters are making more money, and that usually means that more crowds are getting involved. And so it's gotten a lot better. The technique is getting a lot better. I'd say it's more technical than it was during the golden years, but the level of athletes have, and this is sad to say, it's somewhat declined due to football and basketball making so much money. If you ask a guy, hey, I'll make $60 million playing football, or I could probably make that over my career in boxing, maybe, and that's a large maybe, he's going to take football. And that's the reason why our heavyweights have gone down considerably, because guys who would have been heavyweights are now linebackers.
What do you see, Donnell Parsons is our guest here. Where do you see yourself in about 4 or 5 years as far as professionally? What would you like to accomplish?
The truth of the matter is, in 4 years, you will be hearing me in the corner with a young man named Elibar Tardo, and he will be the world champion. That's all there is to it.
Wow.
This kid is
That's
probably,
a bold prediction there, Donnell.
This kid is probably the greatest 122-pounder I've ever seen in all of my life. He's the most dedicated, the most serious. This kid wakes up at 3 a.m., goes to school for an auto technician from 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. Then he drives straight back from Ontario, down in Temecula, and he works with me from 3:30 to 7 o'clock at night. He goes home, does his homework, goes to sleep, and does it all over again, Monday through Friday, every single week. Saturday and Sunday, he's in a horse stall, shoveling horse poop and lifting hay bales. And this kid is just a machine. He's got all the attributes that you expect from a great boxer: hand-eye coordination, reflexes, hand speed, power. He's everything. And, so in 4 years, I'll be sitting in a corner and we'll be doing this conversation again, but you'll be talking to me about, world-renowned trainer Donnell Parsons.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. I like to see successful alumni from Valley College make it big. Well, we'll take you up on that. Last thing I want to talk about, I do this, is called Super Stream. Okay, and what we're going to do is I'm going to mention a few names and words, and tell me the first thing that comes to mind to describe it. You ready? There we go. Mike Powell.
Greatness.
San Bernardino Valley College.
Wow.
You do this to me all the time.
That's the first thing came to my mind. Wow,
Family.
Everything.
Track and field.
Love.
Boxing.
Future.
Donnell Parsons, really appreciate your time. You made the crossover, I tell you, from track and field to the world of pugilism, and that's rather unique. And you're moving up really quick, and we really appreciate your time in here. And I know you have a very busy schedule, and we look forward to seeing you before HBO takes you away from us. But hopefully we'll
always make some time for you guys.
I really appreciate it, Donnell. Thank you for your time. Donnell Parsons, former San Bernardino Valley College track star, now in the exciting arena of boxing training. I'm Mike Sola. Thank you for streaming with us. See you at the game.